What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode. And man, this is going to be one I've been thinking about for a while. I'm obviously a big college football fanatic, Boomer Sooner. You know what's going on, DNA Revenge Tour coming soon. But big college football fan, and I'm really excited to just kind of jump into what's going to be happening in 2024. A lot of changes are going to be happening, conference realignment. We even got a new game on the way. Make sure you guys stay tuned. All right, so in this video, 2024 college football, how it'll be changed forever. Obviously, if you guys haven't been keeping tabs on, SEC, Big 12 conference realignment, OU Texas finally leaving. What does this mean? For me as an Oklahoma fan, I'm obviously excited. We didn't have the year we wanted to last year, but with recruiting and the way BV's track record is, history don't lie. It's gonna get turned around. Don't worry about that. But we're going to the SEC, and there's gonna be a lot of new faces. Obviously, people we played in the past, like Alabama, like Auburn, like Florida, LSU, schools like that. We played these schools in the past, and Oklahoma is blue blood, so I think they'll be fine. They're recruiting at a high clip, and I think they're going to get their team to that SEC body type that's going to be needed over there. And you obviously got Texas as well.
Texas and DKR Memorial Stadium.
It's bigger in Texas.
Sarkisian and company over there, they're recruiting exceptionally well. I mean, he's already stacking classes. He has a number 3 class right now. I think last year he was top 5, so he's stacking classes. The face of obviously the SEC forefront will be Arch Manning at that time, and we'll see if he lives up to the hype. But they have the class, they have the coaching if it's all stayed in place, and obviously Texas has the resources with NIL and facilities and things like that. And like I said, these teams are kind of, they're ready for this. I think they'll be fine. Maybe not year one, but maybe so. I think they'll be good enough to compete for a playoff spot, which I'll touch on why in a little bit. But this will be cool to see, some different matchups, like seeing Oklahoma go to a Vanderbilt, or seeing like Mississippi State or OU go to Mississippi State, or seeing like the games we don't normally see at that time of the year. Seeing Texas go to Tennessee, like that's gonna be crazy. Like in Knoxville, come on guys, like you want to see that ugly orange on ugly orange, like it's all in all, man. It'll be cool for me. I live in Austin actually, so it'll be cool to maybe get my face at some Texas games, watch Texas play these SEC teams in person. There's gonna be a lot of talent on these fields at all times, and I think it's going to be really good for the SEC and the college football as a whole. You got this whole southern footprint down low, and it's going to just be all these teams playing each other, battling it out. And then for the Big 12, I really don't think it's that big of a deal for them. Obviously, yes, they are losing Texas and Oklahoma. These are one of the perennial programs in college football. The amount of money that's being generated from these two schools year in and year out is hard to match. But you obviously add teams like BYU, Cincinnati, Central Florida, and Houston. Obviously, these teams came over from the American Conference, which is obviously causing their conference as well to realign and add some teams in there, which I'll kind of touch on in a little bit if I can find the article. I had an article up because it's a lot of traction, man. It's a lot of movement. But yeah, man, I just think that the Big 12 will do fine. I've heard reports of them trying to add over the Arizona schools, like Arizona State, even maybe bringing Colorado back over from the Big 12. And we see what they're doing over there at Colorado. If Prime's still around over there, I mean, they're going to be recruiting at a high level. Colorado, I would not be surprised if by next year they have a top 10 class. I mean, just the way Coach Prime is, if they can deliver within his first year there, that's going to be a team that's going to be a dangerous team for a recruiting standpoint. You get Prime in these rooms, kids, doesn't matter where they're going to come from, they're going to come play for Coach Prime. Doesn't matter where he's at. So if he can continue to develop what he's doing in coaching, they're going to be a problem. You get a team like that over to the Big 12, that's another big name, a traditional school as well that's coming over. You obviously got the Arizona schools, Arizona with being in basketball, that's really good for the Big 12. And another school that comes to mind that I think you got to kind of swing for the fences here early is Oregon. Oregon is obviously still going to be in the Pac-12, right? They're still going to be in that footprint as of now. I could see like the Big Ten reaching out and trying to grab them in Washington, just due to the fact that they probably feel like they need another team to compete. with the SEC. Maybe Notre Dame joins the Big Ten at some point within the following years. Man, if you're the Big 12, you got to look at Oregon and be like, this is Nike University. This is a school with a ton of revenue, a school that's obviously, going to be in the college football playoff discussion. Dan Lanning has that thing going right now. Oregon is a hot destination for recruits. It always has been. They're going to have the money to get players that they need to get. And they're obviously, they're in a nice footprint, man. They got a lot of the California and Seattle area always feeding in there. And then nationally, they're just a big brand. But you get that brand over there into the Big 12 with like Colorado, with the Arizona schools, maybe throw in a Utah, right? Obviously, you're kind of pulling from the Pac-12, which I think the Pac-12 will have something to say about this just due to their media rights and TV deals that are being discussed. But I just think Oregon would be that school that I think would kind of jump things off, and people would be like, oh shit, like the Big 12 is not playing around. And obviously, their Big 12's commissioner used to work with Jay-Z, so he's not in it for the college football aspect. He's a businessman, so he's going to make some business decisions and plays that'll help out his conference. But a couple teams, just a quick knowledge, a couple teams I think that are going to kind of jump off from, the Big 12 since that Texas and Oklahoma are gone. I really think Texas Tech with Joey McGuire, I think they're going to do well. He's obviously recruiting well. He has a good footprint with the high school area in Texas. And they're going to be that lone school. Well, not the lone school in Texas. Obviously, you're going to have Houston, Baylor, and TCU as well. But Tech, they're obviously showing they can get it done recruiting. You obviously got their TCU in there. They just went to the national championship. And Sonny Dykes has that thing going in year one, right? So if he continues to recruit that well, I think obviously TCU is going to take a step back this year. They lost just too much, including Lincoln Riley's brother to Clemson. His name's Garrett Riley. They lost him. There's going to be just so much competition within that conference. Who's going to rise to the top? You even got teams like Central Florida, who I think is a dangerous team to be in the Big 12. This is a Florida school who's always been decent, and now they're in Power 5 resources in Florida. It's another opportunity for a lot of these kids talented out of the Sunshine State to go to. So that's going to be interesting just to kind of see what happens there. And then we're going to go over to the Big 10. Obviously, UCLA and USC are joining them in 2024 as well. And it'll be interesting, man. UCLA will have Dante Moore probably in year two, to be a second year starting for UCLA with Chip Kelly. And, you're going to obviously have USC. They're going to have Malachi Nelson there after Caleb departs for the NFL. And they're going to be going right into the Big 10. And I obviously think they're going to do well. These are California schools, going to have a ton of talent. But what are they going to do when they got to go play Ohio State and Columbus in November? When they got to go to Happy Valley, play Penn State in November? Maybe go to Ann Arbor, play Michigan, East Lansing. You know what I'm trying to say? They're going to have to go play these teams in cold weather environments where a lot of these kids grow up from California, Texas, Florida. They're not used to playing in that. I think they'll obviously be fine from a talent standpoint. And that's how it is when you get to the NFL. You have to play in these environments. But I do think it's going to be an adjustment period. And also USC doesn't have really a home field advantage at this point in time. So I think they're going to have to bring that. And maybe teams like Michigan, Ohio State, coming out to California, late in the year, maybe that'll bring out the LA crowds to go to these games and support their teams. But that's another big change coming in 2024 that are kind of worried about the Pac-12, the state of the Pac-12. You obviously got Stanford over there still, Washington State, all the schools really besides the California schools, Southern California schools. If I were going to replace some of these schools that are going to be leaving, you got to look at Boise State. They went 40-0 in the WAC when they were in the WAC since 2004. Boise State's always been a tough opponent for people. They've kind of taken a step back in the recent years, but Boise State, that's a program that I think if they're in the Power 5, I think they might be able to compete, play well, and do well in there. They have a nice, rich history, and I think they'll adapt well. You obviously have Fresno State, who has really came onto the scene in the last 10 years, been a very, very formidable group of 5 team. They always play Oregon, California, all these schools that they play at the beginning of the year. They always play them tough, and then when you look at them at the end of the year, they're either winning out or they're playing for their conference championship. So that's a team I think should immediately be looked at for expansion. And then you have San Diego State, huge market, the biggest school in San Diego, which is a big city in California. I really think they could generate the revenue and kind of the appeal to the Pac-12, having a San Diego market in the Pac-12. I think that's really important if they are going to lose some of these LA teams. Just another Southern California presence. So those are a couple teams that kind of come to mind. if the Pac-12 were looking to expand. Now we got A&M versus Texas.
Can hardly bear to look. Justin Tucker from 40 yards out for the game. It's up. The Longhorns win it.
First matchup. Is it going to be in DKR? Or is it going to be in Kyle Field? Obviously, I could care less about this game really, but entertainment standpoint, I want to go, and I'm curious how this game goes. Right, 2024, A&M has obviously been recruiting at a crazy level, but so is Texas. A&M fans have been chirping Texas fans a lot. So is Texas. That's just kind of how it is in this rivalry. We look at the game last time. A&M loses to Texas off of a game-winning field goal, and that's kind of it for that rivalry for the last 10 plus years. Obviously, A&M goes to the SEC, gets Johnny football. He wins a Heisman Trophy. But that's not that's kind of the cusp of A&M. They've obviously put out people like Myles Garrett, Mike Evans. They put out people in the NFL, but they haven't really done much besides the year where they just went, I think they lost one game and they ended up beating North Carolina in their bowl game. And they were complaining they didn't make the playoffs. But then this following year, you have the best recruiting class in the history of recruiting since it's been graded. And they go 4-8. They lose to Appalachian State and some other teams along the way. They just don't look that good. But you obviously have that boy Jimbo hiring some OCs now. He hired Bobby Petrino. Feel how you want to feel about him, but he's a phenomenal OC. And that is a dangerous hire for a team like A&M with the talent they have. If they can get their quarterback situation figured out, they have a lot of talent there. They have a lot of receivers. They will be dangerous now because they always play good defense. But that's just a if. Now you got Texas, right? Texas has been known to playing up and down as their level of competition. But in a game like this, you expect that team to, rise up and play up to their competition how they normally do. And in my opinion, I really think Texas is going to come with it in that game. I'm excited to just kind of see the rivalry, to see the A&M Texas fans talking, and I think it is going to be entertainment at its finest. Like that game has to be like College Game Day the first time they play. Hopefully they're both like decent or ranked pretty well. So, but it's gonna get ugly there. It's gonna get ugly. Some teams I would like to see Oklahoma and Texas keep playing when they go to the SEC. I'd really like OU to keep playing. Obviously, Texas, they're going to play each other. Missouri and Arkansas. Apparently, they're getting to this formula of only 3 teams, so like this 3-team pod thing they're kind of doing. But they have, there's so many different areas of this that you can touch on. You obviously got to keep it fair, but I think the SEC is going to get rid of divisions because the Pac-12 doesn't have divisions, the Big 12 doesn't have divisions, the Big 10 is getting rid of divisions. Now I think the ACC and SEC are going to join them. And a lot of the times I think these conferences kind of want to protect their teams, right? Instead of playing 9 conference games or 8 conference games, maybe they want to put teams into divisions because they want to have more teams going to the college football playoff. And I think this was the case when there was only 4 spots. But now, since there's going to be 12 spots, the playoff is expanding to 12 spots. There's going to be so many teams that are going to go. And in my opinion, I think the committee is going to be looking at the SEC and they're going to be like, well, dang. Oklahoma, Texas, Bama, Auburn, LSU, Florida, Tennessee, South Carolina on the come up. All these teams, they're going to just be like, man, they're just beating up on each other. A&M, they're just beating up on each other. Well, we're probably going to see a team with 4 losses in the playoff, maybe 3 losses in the playoff as an SEC team, because they're going to be like, man, they lost to this. Like a team like Alabama had 2 losses in conference last year. They lost one on literally on a 2-point conversion and one on a game-winning field goal. They have 2 losses. Say they lose to Texas and Austin, right? They have 3 losses, but in a 12-team playoff format, you're looking at Alabama, and you're like, that's still a playoff team. That's still a team that I think could go and win the national championship if they got in, which is going to make this so exciting, especially if they keep with the rules, right? They're talking about teams going from Penn State goes to Austin. I always use this as an example because that's just a game we don't ever see, right? This game we won't ever see. But now with the playoff expanding, these teams 5 through 12 are going to play each other, and the higher seeds are going to host a home playoff game. And I think that's going to be electric for college football. That's going to bring the joy to college football. Obviously, it's going to go to the neutral site games, how it's been, and you know, we're gonna have to deal with that aspect of it. But man, just the joy of that as a student, like you know your team's good that year, and then you got a team coming to your house for the playoffs. You know, you might have stayed up there for the break, or you got your family visiting you to watch the game. Like that's gonna be electric. I think that's gonna be super cool. And then Texas teams, I want to see them keep playing. Obviously, they're gonna play A&M. They're gonna play us, Oklahoma, and I think Arkansas is a good rival for them. Obviously, in the Southwest Conference back in the days, they used to butt heads. They played recently, and our Arkansas kind of took it to them. But maybe Arkansas and Texas can, you know, rejuvenate a rivalry. And I think those are kind of the three permanent teams I want to see about each team. Hopefully, in my opinion, I don't really care if we play Oklahoma State, but I do know how much that rivalry means for the folks in Oklahoma and Bedlam. It's not a rivalry. If you guys haven't seen our TikTok, they were talking crazy on there, and I told them there's not a rivalry. So Oklahoma State fans, do not come after me. I'm just telling you what the stats are showing me. And then Texas, I need them to, I don't know. They don't really need to play anyone either, but you know, if TCU or, you know, Tech, maybe if they're up there and they're good like that, maybe they can play every year or something, or every other year, alternated or something. I don't know. But it'd be cool to kind of see some Big 12 teams. Baylor, it'd be kind of cool to see some Big 12 teams still play Texas when they're in the SEC. Kind of how Georgia Tech do, or Florida State, or South Carolina Clemson. Like, it's kind of cool to see that dynamic still. Just because, you know, it's still geographical. You're still going to have people and families that went to both schools and things like that. And last but not least, we're going to talk about NCAA 2024, which is also coming out in the year. And it's going to be the first time the games came out in 10 plus years. I'm so excited for this. So excited, man. I play NCAA revamps almost every night. You know, college football, I love it. It's a year-round sport. I think about it every single day. And, I think it's gonna be super dope for this game to come out. Apparently they're rebuilding the game up from the core engine, so hopefully it's not like Madden. You know, Madden, if you guys play sports games, Madden's a little clunky, it's not as responsive, things like that. And NCAA, it's like a smooth game. You know, you're playing it, you're like, yeah, this feels like college. Like, you got, you know, stick work and all that. Like, I'm telling you, like, NCAA is different. Obviously, it's going to have dynasty mode, road to glory. I'm hoping that, in my opinion, so I think that's really important. I'm an old NCAA old head, so I used to play like 04, 06, 08, and they had the FCS schools on there. I was reading some reports on how they're really trying to make the game authentic with like sounds. If they get like a third down conversion, or, you know, imagine just like you get on the game, you hear Enter Sandman, or I get on there and I hear USC. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm trying to hear that. I want it to feel authentic. I want it to feel like I'm playing a college football game. So I'm hoping they take their time with it. But man, that's just like the icing on the cake, man. You're getting all this you're getting all this in 2024 for college football, all of it. If you're a fan, you have to be excited. There's so much potential with all this stuff, like so much. And I think it's gonna be a good 2024. Obviously 2023 is next year, but I'm ready, man. 2024, Arch, Jackson Arnold, come on now. It's different conferences. Like, you got all these other quarterbacks probably starting too at that time. It's gonna be fun, man. It's gonna be fun to watch. If you guys like this video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, tell all your friends about us. You know, we're your favorite media channel, and we post every Friday podcast. We got a lot of podcasts coming up, so make sure you guys give those guys love, run their numbers up, show them love. You know, it means a lot to those people that we have on. And make sure you guys stay tuned. We got a lot of special things coming your way, and we'll catch you next video. Peace.